Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode number 12 here in the Systematic Factory in the Oceania cluster. We are back in the game. I have been struggling a little bit this past week because I had dental surgery early last week, and it's really hard to talk after that. So I've been doing some work just to get some things done, and I'm going to show you what I did in that time. Sorry I didn't have any videos coming out for a few days, but we're going to try to get back on track before the holidays. The first big thing is I reworked all of the stuff here in our industrial block to just be a little more efficient. Right now I just have a setup for our steel. I don't have all the other refineries, but I also added in a section up top here with some new features. So basically I have reservoirs that are like the pool for each of our cooling systems that we're using, and I have a few of them set up. I'm going to show you how it works. The first part is that I have a liquid shutoff up here. It pulls in petroleum from the top because petroleum is the coolant I'm using at the moment. And there's some automation here that is set to 16 and 8. That represents 800 kilograms and 400 kilograms, because it's 16% of 5,000 is 800. So if this falls below the 400 mark, it opens up the liquid shutoff to top off the reservoir to fill it back up until it gets up to 800, which means that if I take our coolant loop that is connected to this and extend it a little bit, it will automatically fill the line up so that we have enough coolant in it to run through the line, and also enough to keep our reservoir filled up with enough to keep a steady temperature. The reason we do the reservoir is because then we have the fluid coming in, it's staying at this steady temperature, and that's the temperature I'm reading here. And so it's not going up and down and kicking our aqua tuners on and off. And this particular loop I have currently running through a double aqua tuner setup. So coolant comes down, it goes through the first one. Every aqua tuner drops your temperature down by 14 degrees. So this one says if it's above minus 20, which it is, this is on. So then the fluid comes down, it goes through, and it gets cooled down. When it's coming through here, it's still above the minus 20 mark here. So the second aqua tuner cools down again. And so now it's coming out at minus 4. And then if you follow the line, it comes around this way, and it goes through to cool off all of our steam turbines. I've been doing some testing with these new, what are they called, conduction panels, just to see if they're effective, see if they are more effective than just running coolant through pipes. It's hard to tell. This one's definitely the coldest, and it goes across, but this is also the first one that our coolant hits. So I think that they're about the same. I have some different ones here. This is 3 of our gold conduction panels. This one is just, I had to wire it a little differently because I had this piping coming through for our coolant system, and so I did the best I could to cool it down. I think it's working good. This one I'm using just 2 instead of the 3. This one has the 3 plus the extra coolant at the end, so every spot on it was covered with coolant except for the vent pipe for the water. This one is about half the amount of coverage. This one is full coverage but no conduction panels. This one I switched to using steel, and I did the same on this one. Oh no, this one I did tungsten. I just wanted to see if the different metals would have a different effect. Tungsten has, let me bring up go to build something using the metals, and I can look at them. So as far as gold has overheat temperature of plus 50. It has thermal conductivity of 3, and thermal mass of 0.6. This one is the same stats, but it has a much higher melting point. I doubt that I would use this, but I just wanted to see if it had any effect. And I think I'm going to have to do some testing in a test world to really see. But as you can see, everything is cooling down really well. These are running pretty much flat out, some of them. This one, the uptime has been 100% for the last 5 cycles, and it's very chilly. Very, very chilly. So no problems there. So this loop just cools down the steam turbines. This loop, we'll skip that one. Let's do this one. This loop comes down here, and I have some spot cooling on some things here, but the loop goes all the way through, cools off our plastic, cools off our petroleum refinery, comes back up, cools off our production here, and then also our refineries just in the room, and then it goes back up and drops back in to get cooled back off again. You can see it's doing a pretty good job of cooling in here too. This is a little warmer because the metal refineries get pretty hot and they run a lot more constantly. These areas have pretty much shut down because of the automation. So this one, I have automation where once this gets to 95%, it shuts down the refinery, and when it drops down to 10, it turns it back on. So I keep 3 tanks of petroleum ready to go. This one, the automation is set so that if I get to 15 tons of plastics, it shuts off. I'm actually going to bump that up to 17,500, and we'll see that that turns the system back on immediately. And so it starts picking up plastic until this is full again. And then this is the plastic being shipped off to our kitchen for making the dried foods, because you need a little bit of plastic for each one. It's not a lot. In fact, I've been trying to empty out this old line here for about 75 cycles, and I haven't even gone through that much plastic. It's like 12 kilograms per package. Not much at all. This system automates the production of refined carbon and ceramic. It has the coal and the clay stored in here that it needs. And then once we have this one fills up first because it's priority 7, and then this one fills up. So once we have 40 tons of refined carbon, it shuts off. And I have a conveyor loader that takes it over for my steel production. This one is the same thing, 20 tons, and then 15 tons here. Let's boost this up to 20. Just get it full up, and you can see that as soon as this doesn't have a full status, this turns back on if we start producing again. And then this is our lime facility. We have all the different things stored here that we use to make lime: eggshells, fossils, and then the poke shell malts and the small poke shell malts are stored here. This sweeper can access all of them, puts them into the rock crusher, so somebody just comes along and makes it. And then we're working towards having fill up here. Steel only requires 10 kilograms of lime. And so to make 20 tons of it, we would need... So to make 1 ton, it's 10. To make 20 tons, it'd be 200. So 200 times that, so 2,000 kilograms. So let's set this to 2,000 kilograms here. And then this, I'm just setting at 1. So this is just my overflow for now. Once this gets to 2 tons, this will fill up with 1 because it's a lower priority. It'll shut the system off. And again, it ships off lime over to here. So this has our items we need for our steel production. So we have lime in the top and refined carbon underneath. And then the way this works is iron ore gets dropped off here. It gets cooked into iron, which gets stored here. The iron gets put into here. And then we store it here. And so this is set to 10 tons. I'm going to bump this up to 15 so that we can turn this back on. And then this here I took off because I had to get up there to do some work. We were going to put in another smart storage bin there to shut off the iron production now that we have enough iron to store it. That way we're not continuing to make iron when we don't need it for our steel production. And everything in here is nice and cool, so they can just keep working on it forever. And the idea is to make it so that the duplicants have as little interaction as possible. They just come in and do their work errands. They don't have to supply very often, so they can just keep doing their things. Okay, so then the last thing we have to show is this last loop that we skipped. This one is also set to do down to minus 22. Right now you can see it's not running because the liquid coming out is cooler than that. So it comes up here, goes up this line, and just cools this one little spot here. And what it does is it makes it so that everything in here is deep frozen. And this is set up in a specific way. So there is a loader here that holds anything edible. and it has allowed manual use. So if the duplicants find anything laying around the base, there's extra food sitting around. If there's meat or anything that the system doesn't pick up and ship over, then they put it in here. It gets stored in here. It will stay in here deep frozen and in a sterile atmosphere forever, because the freshness is 0% change per cycle. The deep freeze and sterile atmosphere together makes it so that it will last forever. And so these are the ingredients we use. It's all of our food, but mostly it's the ingredients we use for our process here. This auto sweeper can't reach them, so that way it doesn't create a loop where you grab the stuff and put it back in. But it can pick up all the things here and send anything else through here up to our storage. So when we get eggshells or we get anything here that's not supposed to go to our food production, it gets shipped on out. This sweeper can reach in here and grab this items. There's a fridge here for pacu, filet, and meat. So if they come in here, it puts up 4 kilograms at a time, which is just enough for this sweeper to grab what it needs to keep this grill stocked so that the duplicants can do their cooking. This one also supplies the barbecue and cooked seafood in here to make the surf and turf, and takes the surf and turf and puts it into here so that it can be dehydrated. If there's too much and it can't fit in here, like because this one takes so long to dehydrate stuff, any excess gets put back in here and gets stored here and is ready for it to grab when it needs it later. This fridge used to store surf and turf. I think we're going to take that out. And I think we're going to take this out too. And the reason I'm going to do that is because then I can put a spice grinder in here, and that will make this room a kitchen. The only boost we get from the kitchen is to be able to use the spice grinder, but then we'll have it in case we ever want to use it. I don't particularly use it, but it will be there for us to use if we want to. I also tried to decorate some of the background tiles to make things just a little nicer. And then this still ships all of our dehydrated food up here, and we have some automation to keep it stocked so that they can come in and grab the food they need and have as little interaction as possible. So as soon as they take that surf and turf out, it'll grab another one and stock the machine so that there is 5 ready to go for the next people. And 5 is all I need. I could put a second station in here, but actually I might do that just to have 10. Because we can fit one right there. Let's do that. But then that way we can have food there. But we have 274 servings of food stored away in our storage bin here. We can fit 20,000 in there. So I doubt we're going to need any more. I've started removing the system here that we used to store food. I'm going to take this wall down and let the carbon dioxide flow out. I may go this way, actually. That way it just goes down outside the base. But I think we're going to use this space to make a rec room, so that they have somewhere where they can go and relax. And the nice thing about doing that is you can see these guys are all on their downtime. They just hang out here because they have no rec room stuff to do. If I put a rec room in here, they'll go over there. Be nice. Nice little thing. In the future, I want to move our storage here and expand it so we have a better storage and things like that. But you can see the food is set. The big thing I want to change up is I've actually brought these down to 3 per farm because I'm just getting so much pacu, I don't know what to do with it. It's more than I actually need for here. And so in the future, what I'm working on is I'm going to do the math and figure out exactly how many pacu I need for how much meat I have to make just over 20,000 calories a day. That way I can be stockpiling, but mostly keeping it supplied with just one farm. So we're going to come up with a combo farm that has the fish and the meat in it. So we can look forward to that. I'm going to work on it in the future. It's going to take a little while to design it, but it'll be coming. So the next thing we really need to do is the heat in our base is starting to build up just from general use, machines running, everything like that. So I want to add in a cooling loop that's separate from this one that just comes around and does some cooling in our base. But instead of doing it using a regular loop. I might do a loop that comes through, but I think I'm going to set up a little coolant here so that the oxygen passes through coolant before it comes out. That'll be the most effective way to cool down the base, because if we're pumping colder air in, then it'll keep everything nice and contained. But we're getting to the point where our crops are going to start to stifle soon. Let's take a look at one of these. They're at 29.3. If they get above 37, they'll stop working. And this is what we use to repair our atmosuit so they can keep going. I do have it set up so that the sewage line goes into the storage. That way, if this backs up, we don't have our bathroom shut down. I've had that happen before, so we don't do that. But there's going to be some redesigning here. There's going to be some coolant here, but mostly I've been working on this section here, getting it all finalized. I also want to work on finishing up this area to get a better system for our crude oil storage instead of just a big tank down here. And also I want to put in Slickster Farm to start using up some of these, some of this carbon dioxide that we've been stockpiling. We have some slicksters that we have caught here to save for future use, but we'll get to that too. This I need to move this over a little bit so I can get some movement here, because it keeps causing pressure damage because of that setup right there. So I'm going to dig this, build this tile, and remove this. It'll all be good. So I think before I get into doing the crude oil setup, we're going to set up the biobot builder. Now that we have access to a large amount of steel, we'll have to get in here and get things working here as well. But that's a project for coming up pretty soon. But before I get started on any of that stuff, what I want to do is just open up the rest of my map. I have some exploration to do down here. I have a lot to do up here. And I want to get up into space to get a bunker wall to protect this up, and a lot of stuff like that. But mostly just exploring the map, collecting all of our resources together, and condensing it down. So that's going to take a good bit of time. And so I'm probably just going to do it. I think I'll do some time-lapse work so you can watch as we tear some things up. We just knocked out the achievement for pulling back the veil, which is to reveal 80% of the map exploring outside the starting biome. So let's take a look. We've done quite a bit. All the way up here, everything is cleared out up to, I left as much of this abyssalite barrier to space as I could. I left this here too. I'm going to get that in a little bit. And then I have to clean out this section in the bottom, but we are all the way down here. I'm actually going to cancel this because I don't want to go all the way down. I don't want all this salt water to collect too low. So we're going to let it spill over here first before we do that. So all this will spill down into these tanks, which are already being emptied into storage. Our water tanks are pretty full though, so we're going to have to address that soon. So I just wanted to go over a few of the things that we're going to be doing going forward and address that. So let's see. We have some volcanoes that we uncovered. I analyzed them and capped them off so that they are sealed up for now. We'll get to them. So saltwater guys are there. I have another one here, which is done being analyzed. So I can, actually, I want to mop that out because I want that polluted water out of there. We have time on this one. So we got a couple of saltwater geysers, which are great. We're going to use those up. We got a steam vent here that we'll probably end up doing something with. Let's see, what else did we get as far as geysers go? I think that was it. But we got a ton of resources. If we just look at raw minerals, we're back up to over 2 tons of sedimentary rock, which we're still feeding off to our stone hatchlings, which is great. And if we look at organic, we're back up to 92 tons of algae which are feeding to our fish. So that is quite a bit. We still have a lot of this to go. And so we'll have tons of resources to use. As far as things I want to work on coming up, I talked about how we're going to do some work here at the oil biome, getting everything finished up here. I want to have better storage for our crude oil and start up our slickster farm. We actually have some slicksters I'm moving down here. They're up at our home base up here. So I'm going to get them out of here because they're dropping oil everywhere, causing problems for me. And then we'll use them to start up a slickster farm. I have the one down here that we've been keeping alive for 500 cycles now, so we'll use him too. But that's a project to work on. Everything in here is running really good. Let it run the whole time we were doing stuff, and this is all nice and cold everywhere through here. So let's check this out. This should be iron. I never set it back up to that. So let's do that quick. So this should be, let's just set this to 1. So it'll pick up the iron and it'll put it in there, and that'll shut off the iron production. I want to do this up to 20 so that we can continue our production here so that we have a 20-ton storage of iron before we cut this off. We are running low on iron ore in here, so I'm sure we have some more across the map we can bring in. Another 19 tons, but it's going to be pretty low. Big thing I want to work on as far as that goes is that we have those geysers that we unlocked. Like I have the cobalt volcano here. We had an iron one here, and I think there were some other ones. There's another aluminum one here. Now that we have cooling, I can set up tamers on those volcanoes so that we can collect those resources, and so we'll be able to get some refined metal free from that. Oh, I never capped this off. I'm going to do that real quick. I put up the airflow tiles so that we could have the gases escape while this was running. And now that we can close it, we'll have to stop having all this polluted oxygen coming out of it, which will be helpful. So yeah, the project with the liquids is to get them all pumped up and collected together. And like I said, this is pretty full now, so we're still processing. We have liquids coming up here, but we need to put in a better storage system for these and start processing them out to use them up more. I want to make sure everything here is running. Our plants stopped. No, they're still going. Our thimbleweed is eating up the polluted oxygen. There's some more farms I want to set up with that, and I want to change up the way our critters here are done. So we have a lot of projects to go with that, but getting the map explored completely was a good help, because now we have a lot of space, we know what we have, and we can start making some plans. So I'm going to end up today just by going through our colony achievements so we can see where we're at, kind of get us back on track with after we had a little break in recording, so we know where we are as far as those go. So the ones that we still need to do, space race is coming up. We're going to get some more things steady here on the home asteroid before we venture out, but we'll do that one. The honorary doctorate, we're working on the research tree. We don't have that much left to go, but we need to get data banks from space for that, so that'll be tied into that. Have duplicants wearing non-default clothing simultaneously. I wonder if I have enough to do that right now, or if I need to craft some clothing. So yeah, I have 4 snazzy suits and a cool vest, so I'd have to craft 3 more, but we could easily knock that one out pretty quick. Critter Whisperer is going to be a little while because we have to get to space to get some of these, so we're working on them. But Gassy Moo, we need to go to space. And then we're either going to have to get a shine bug from another asteroid or get it out of the printer. I have a Draco egg, I have Slicksters, I have puffed eggs that I can use. But the Gassy Moo we have to get from space. So another space one that we need to do. Building the nature reserves, we'll do that in a little while. I want to figure out where we can most use them so that they can be useful. Really only the one is useful, but we'll just make 3 more. But we're going to be doing some changes to our base to make a more, like a better mid-game base now that we have some more technology. Gassy Moo, again, we have to go to space for. This one we can actually do anytime now. Oh, no, actually, no. We need to go to space because we need to get super coolant if we're going to go down to 6 Kelvin. So that will be another space one that we need to do. Totally tubular, we're going to be doing pretty soon. I want to set some transit tubes to move our dupes around, but I'm waiting until we get the next iteration of our base set up and ready to go before we start running tubes around. This one, we just need to make a couple more rooms, a luxury barracks, recreation room, hospital, greenhouse. The next episode, I think we're going to work on that recreation room in our next to our Great Hall. So that one will be one that we can get done pretty quick. Finely tuned machine. Once we set up a more permanent power room, we're going to set up a system for using the tuning. I also want to get the volcanoes set up so that we have a renewable source for refined metal, so we're not using it all up. This one, we just need to take a stone hatchling and feed it some ore so we can turn it into a smooth hatchling and then get some refined metal from it. Not a long-term thing, just enough for the achievement, because the metal refineries are a much more efficient way to make refined metal. Movable object, block a meteor. Once we get up into space and set up the bunker doors, that one will just be a matter of time until we get it. Easy living and job suitability are always ones that are difficult because we have to do several cycles to make them work. But we'll get to those once we start building our new base. That means that we'll have a lot more auto sweepers running, so easy living will become much easier. And job suitability, same thing. Once we're done, we'll have it set up so that our dupes will be wearing exosuits more often. So we'll just have to make sure they get their jobs done. And then we have our DLC ones. So a lot of these are ones that will just happen as we go, but these are kind of what I'm going to work on after we finish the rest of our achievements, because some of these are pretty difficult. The one that's going to be the most, I think, is this one here, mining the gap, mining 1 million kilograms from space POIs. So we have to go, if we look at our star map, I don't know if we'll be able to see much yet, but there's other planets that are around, but there's also just random ore fields and stuff, and we have to set up mining rockets to mine all of that. But 1,000,000 kilograms is a lot to mine. So that one's going to take a lot of time. Some of these other ones we'll knock out pretty easily. Some of them will be a little more challenging, but we're going to get them all done. And then once we have all of those finished, we are going to work on these achievements. Studying all the artifacts, sending duplicants through the temporal tear, and this achievement here, the Home Sweet Home achievement as well. Build a great monument after getting all of our duplicants' morale up high enough. So that's what we're looking forward in the future. Next episode, we're going to work on doing some more stuff with our base to get us into a kind of a mid-game base until we get to space and get some more technology. But we have some technology that can improve the lives of our duplicants already, so we're probably going to focus on some of that. And yeah, we have a lot to do still in this map, but getting it dug out was a good step. So I hope you enjoyed watching this. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.